Buddy, and welcome back to Brainstorm Brewery. I was going to start this podcast with a pretty funny Baby Yoda joke. However, Disney DMCA took down it, so it has been taken down, and we can no longer do it.
Not took down it.
Took down.
It got tooken.
Have you guys been watching The Mandalorian?
Anybody trying to hire an
I've
editor?
never seen a Star Wars movie.
Yeah, it's a show, not a movie.
What I understand it.
Got him.
Anyways, The Mandalorian's sweet, but Baby Yoda gifts are making the rounds, and like people are trying to sell Baby Yoda toys or something, and I guess Disney's
not even Yoda. Yoda's dead.
I actually looked this up. There isn't a Yoda. We don't know what race Yoda is, so we don't have anything to do but call it a Baby Yoda. So, but yeah,
I hope
Disney
they don't do some dumb shit. We're like, oh, they're called Yodarians from the planet Yodaria.
Yeah, maybe like Yoda's name was never Yoda. He was just a Yodarian, and they started calling him Yoda for short, and he was too nice.
Which is super racist.
He was too nice. He was too nice to tell people to stop. And
that's like calling somebody a Dago, but they're from Dagobah, so you call them a Dago. You can't do that.
Are the Yodas from Dagobah, or did Yoda just retire there?
No, that's where he was hiding. Don't you know anything?
I didn't know if
Every
they're
time
from there.
somebody names that location, I just think of like the Day Bow Bow song.
I don't know what that is.
Day
Like
Bow Bow.
Yeah.
From
Have you never
Ferris
seen Always
Bueller's
Sunny?
Day Off. Day Bow Bow.
Have you never seen Always Sunny, Corbin?
I mean,
Day Bow Bow.
I've watched the show. I've not like religiously watched it.
Day Bow Bow. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
How do I know this reference and you don't?
I don't know, man.
It was season 1, episode 7 of It's Always Sunny.
Wasn't
I
that
think
on
that's
before
true.
DJ
It
was
was
even
like
probably
born?
not true?
Jeez. I should watch that show though, right? It's funny.
Yeah, you should.
I mean, I've definitely watched like, I don't know, several dozen episodes of it, but I've never just like watched it, from start to finish.
It is season 4, episode 10, Jason, so close.
There you go.
I was just pulling it out of my ass. I knew it.
Yeah, but like that was like the Corbin Hostler Breaking Bulk, right? You're like, it's a Tempest car, and I'm like, it's Aether Revolt, Corbin. So
I would have been really impressive to people if you hadn't looked that shit up, and everyone was like, God, Jason's like got an encyclopedic knowledge of
It's Always Sunny
in Philadelphia. Yeah.
Anyways, there's this thing called Secret Lairs. Were you guys aware of this now?
I am now.
This is the newest Wizards product that is not being given to LGSs. Shame. However, from what I understand, you can pay $30 for a Bitter Blossom. Right?
And the tokens.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. You can also...
That's just buying singles with extra steps.
You're right. You can pay $30 for 5 basic lands that are not gurus. What do you guys... So for those who don't know, Secret Lair is this thing the Wizards has been teasing on social media. Now they've come out. It's the Secret Lair... Well, this is what it's called. The Secret Lair Drop Series. Where, I'm quoting here, ultra collectible, lovingly curated card drops featuring some of the most exciting artists working. Each one is available for a limited time, or you can buy the bundle for $200. So, this is more of Wizards getting in the selling singles directly to the secondary market. Except in this case, I guess it's just a primary market. But this is another instance of Wizards getting into the secondary market in products that typically, like say from the vaults, would usually go through LGSs and are now going through secretlair.wizards.com. So, I don't know. I mean, you can buy 4 different versions of Serum Visions for $30. You can.
This is such a weird.
It is a weird product. Yeah. The cards are cool though. Like before we go any further, and they're also priced differently, which is.
What do you mean price different? Aren't all the boxes the same price?
No.
So the
you can buy a $200 subscription.
Yeah. The Bitter Blossom is $30. The Eldraine Wonderland, which is literally 5 non-full art snow-covered lands that are foils and promos, right? They all have the promo thing. You can buy Restless in Peace for $30, which has some dredge cards in it. You can buy Seeing Visions, which is paying
Yes,
7.
they're all 30. Oh no, there's one that's 40. There's
2 that's 40.
Okay.
Kaleidoscope Killers, which is the Ur-Dragon, Sliver Overlord, and Reaper King, which, to be fair, those are expensive cards, so that's why it's more expensive. And they have a Kitties bundle that's also $40, probably just because it's Kitties.
Sorry, I didn't hear. What did you say?
Yeah.
It doesn't come with waiting in the weeds.
So some of these have more cards than others, which is also interesting. Like the Kitties bundle comes with...
The cat one is like all bulk rares. What the hell?
Yeah, but like it comes with 7 cards in it. And the Serum Visions package is just... It's literally a playset of Serum Visions, all with different art.
Do you know how
This is
hard
just weird.
we tried on this podcast to be relentlessly positive, and when Wizards would make a questionable decision, we would give them the benefit of the doubt. But guess what? You broke us. Okay?
I mean,
we can't be positive about your dumb ideas anymore.
I don't even know.
You had me until mystery boosters, and then this. Why isn't this for sale at the LGS? This is the kind of thing.
Yeah.
You could easily
I feel like LGS's. I feel like people would complain about this more if it was at LGS's.
Well, because they don't want to go to their LGS because they want to stay home and play Arena. That's why Paper's dying. You heard it here first. And if I'm wrong, everyone will be like, cool, we get to play Paper Magic. And if I'm right, I look like a genius because I'm saying this shit a year before everybody else. So you heard it here first. Paper's dying. Arena's the future.
Look, I love Arena. I do think it's the future. I don't
Rip
think
Magic
Paper...
2019,
Yeah,
2019.
I don't think Paper needs to die. This is a bizarre product, though. That doesn't even make it bad, but it is bizarre.
They'll never replace casual and EDH and stuff like that. And EDH is the biggest format, so like, there's a big incentive to keep Paper going. But the LGS is a real convenient place to play Magic, so
I mean,
maybe not bury them.
I do love that, like the Goblin package here, which is Goblin King, Goblin Lackey, Goblin Pile Driver, Goblin Sharpshooter, and Goblin Bushwhacker, all have very unique art. That's the thing with all these is that, outside of, I guess, the lands or whatever, is the art is incredibly unique. And it's not even the same kind of art across all of them. It's cool. I like that. I think that's neat. But it's just a weird product.
I do like all the different art. Even the ones I don't like, I like that they did them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that they have art that like would never have gotten through the art director.
Yeah.
This is like the 9th Bitter Blossom art that's super cool.
Yeah.
Every Bitter Blossom art is just out of the water.
Well, you heard it here first. DJ's breaking bulk in 15 months is Bitter Blossom tokens from Bitter Blossom Dreams. But yeah, it's interesting. I'm with Jason. I wish the LGS had a piece of this stuff, but I think that maybe what we need to accept here is that this is the future. Wizards is a this is when we talk about paradigm shifts within corporations. Wizards sees themselves now as a digital first company. Because that's what they need to be to move into the future. And that means selling stuff like this directly to customers and not routing it through the LGS. And that sucks for me, for sure, in my LGS.
Well, they'll never be a digital company if they can't figure out how to sell shit like this. So they're like, well, people don't want to risk $200 for a Mythic Edition. And I sent Jason Alt 4 uncut foil sheets of War the Spark because I couldn't manage to send him one that wasn't all fucked up. So I guess what we need to do is start with something that costs like $20 and figure out how to sell that. And by the time we get through all 7 of these, eventually we will have figured out a way to not crash our website.
Well, this one is not going through the Hasbro toy shop, and it's not going through eBay. It's going directly through Wizards' website. And these are
that's ballsy because they couldn't do that before.
Well, yeah. Well, these are going to be different because they're not going to be limited run in the sense that the Mythic Editions were limited run, and you got one of the 5,000 printed or whatever, or you got nothing. These are going to be, as it's called in internet parlance, I suppose, a drop, which means they're going to be available for 24 hours on a given day, and we can see that that's all starting a week from now. Well, we're recording on Monday. The first one from here goes up in 6 days and 12 hours. So that would be next Monday? So probably December 2nd. Yeah, December 2nd. So yeah, I mean, they're clearly designed to be Christmas gifts. And
well, it says, will I get this for a holiday? Will I get this for the holidays in bold text? That's a solid maybe from us. Direct quote.
If I did not own an LGS, I would say I really wouldn't want to own an LGS right now. I'll say that. It's really rough not getting stuff like this into the store. It's just this is.
I mean, you can still say that you don't want to own an LGS while you own it. Like your co-owners aren't listening to this. I'm sorry.
This is the kind of thing that 5 years ago, if they made something like this, would sell to the LGS for $12, $14. You get to sell them for $30. It's an easy double up on something that you don't spend a ton of money to get, and they're super reasonable products to sell at Christmas, etc. And now all that money is going directly to Wizards. And Wizards seems to have decided they don't need the LGS. You know, they say they'll want them, and they do want the LGS. They want those markets. They don't want to kill LGSs, but they clearly value the business end of that relationship less than they did 10 years ago. And I guess that's the future. So adapt or die. I don't really feel sorry for LGSs, including my own, struggling with it as much as I might complain on this podcast, because I like capitalism. It's just capitalism. This is the market. You figure out how to survive or you don't.
Somebody's going to soundbite that I like capitalism. It's going to be the frickin' end of you.
It's the death of me. I said I like capitalism.
You said it twice. You're doomed.
Hey, man, what can I say? I like to
not capitalism.
I like
then nothing. You can say.
All right. Speaking
you can say anything except those 3 words in that order. In this community. You can say a lot of things. You can praise a lot of very bad people in this community, and it's fine. Just don't say that you like that particular social construct. You can't say the C word.
Anyway, speaking of people who may or may not like to sell Magic cards, I'm Corbin. Until recently, I was laid off. I was the content manager at Channel Fireball. I've been at Channel Fireball. I've been at TCG Player. I do Mining Modern. Punting Pioneer hopefully will be coming to a YouTube channel near you soon. I do coverage for Wizards of the Coast. And I own an LGS, Stormbrew Games in Edmond, Oklahoma. What about you guys?
We call him the content grifter.
Where can people find you guys on the internet?
You want me to go first?
Sure.
Okay.
Just one of you.
Well, if you go to Twitter, where I'm at Jason Eald, I have a pin post at the top of my profile that says all the stuff that I do. I write for MTG Price and Cool Stuff Inc. I'm the content manager at edhrec.com, and I have another podcast called Movie Hooligans that I do with John Dunning, and that's all stuff I do, and there's links to that. So go check out all the stuff I do, because I'm very busy and I work very hard, and you like me or you wouldn't be listening to this podcast. So go support me.
DJ?
My name is Douglas Johnson. You can find me at most North American Grands Prix. I have a TCG Player store named Card Garden. And you can find my Twitter sales at #CardGarden, where my DMs are always open for card sales and or purchases, buying collections and whatnot. And you can find me on this podcast, and that's about it right now.
All right, so are you guys putting one of these Secret Lairs on your Christmas list?
I'm getting Magic products. The $200 subscription.
I don't put Magic products on my Christmas list.
Okay.
My relatives don't know what to get me, so it's really convenient. That's why I liked having the Commander decks, because a Commander deck is right about the amount of money that you want somebody who doesn't know what to get you spending on you. You don't want to ask for something like the $50
That's pretty much
range.
Correct, yeah.
Yeah. They were perfect, but we're not going to do those at Christmas anymore, so we got to figure something else out.
I will ask for like anything that is not Magic related.
Yeah, I mean, me too. I think actually I asked for towels, and my mom saw our Amazon list and was like, Corbin, did you really put this on there, or did Mary Ann do this? I was like, what? I can't like to have towels that don't have holes in them because the dogs have chewed them up? Give me some credit. Woman who raised me. Jeez.
I used all my previous towels to pick up dead rats off the...
I have never had a dog chew a towel. What? Look at you just acting like that's normal.
I used all my previous towels to pick up dead rats off the counter, and...
Now that you say it like that, I don't know that I have a good response, I guess.
My God, I'm so glad you don't do stand-up, because you'd be like, what's the deal with dogs chewing up your towals?
Relatable
Anybody else got the
content,
kind of
right?
wife who won't clean up dead mice off the counter, am I right? Don't you hate it when you go out into the outbuilding in your backyard with no drainage that serves as your home office and all your Magic cards are been destroyed in a flood? Don't you hate that? So I was at Buffalo Wild Wings for the 4th time this week, and don't you hate it when you?
Yeah, that's all pretty much accurate. Yeah, you've described my life to a T.
What, too relatable? Where's the audience going?
I don't know. We have asshole dogs. One of them is blind. The other one has a torn ACL. They're paying a bunch of money to get fixed next week, and they like to do things they shouldn't do. We once had to pay. I'm just
wondering how the dogs get into your hall closet, open it up, and chew on the towels.
I think we once had to pay $1,800 to get one of our dogs, the blind dog now, stomach pumped because he ate one of those furniture pads you put on the bottom of chairs so they slide on the wood floor, and it blocked his intestines or stomach or whatever, and he was dying, so we had to pay a bunch of money so he wouldn't die from eating a furniture pad that they fished out of his...
You chose to pay a bunch of money.
Yeah, I mean, we could have let him...
Intestines or stomach or whatever.
I'm not a biologist, man, or a veterinarian or a doctor, all right? I'm a want-to-be-employed editor, that's all. So you guys...
Actually, there wasn't that much wrong with that, DJ. Intestines and stomach are different. And who knows where the pad was? You don't know.
See?
Who knows where that's going to get wedged?
Yeah, exactly. So
you made me side with Corbin. Don't do that.
I mean, I might suggest not having a dog that does that, but I don't know. It's a rescue dog that my wife said it was meant to be, and now he's blind and runs into walls. So that's cool. What? Too relatable? Okay, moving on. Let's do Breaking Bulk. Let's do Breaking Bulk this week. Who wants to start?
Breaking Bulk time. Breaking Bulk time. Break.
Oh, yeah, Breaking Bulk. There's so much good stuff.
It's a pick. Breaking Bulk. The end.
I'll go because mine's easy and I'm copping out.
Oh, I'll definitely get it. Let's go.
Eldrine Uncommon Blue. The fact that it's taken you this long, Corbin,
Mystical
makes me...
Dispute.
There you go, bud.
I was waiting to see.
Dispute.
I was looking to see if Jason would get it.
Our most requested uncommon in the booth this weekend. It's a blue card that's very good in lots of formats. It's a counterspell. It's basically blue elemental blast.
A lot of times.
It's basically red elemental blast and blue elemental blast because it shares a color with one of those and it does the same thing as the other one. So
yeah. So for those who don't know, it's the 3 mana leak, but if it's a blue spell, it only costs 1. So it's like a free roll. You have a worse mana leak, but it's very good against other blue decks. It was important in the Oko days of Standard as one of the few answers.
It's still important in the Oko days of Pioneer and Modern. And
I mean,
Legacy.
think about it. It was like basically the only card that could answer a turn 2 Oko if your opponent was on the play, which is now true in Modern and Pioneer. Yeah.
Yeah. Congrats. They ruined every single format all at once. 2019 is... It's not been a great year.
I won't lie. I feel very redeemed. I spent so long complaining on this podcast about what they've done to Magic, and I started complaining back in War of the Spark and Modern Horizons.
I've been complaining since before it was cool, guys.
I started back in 1900.
No, but like I felt guilty complaining because I've never been the person to complain that they're ruining Magic or whatever. So I do kind of feel a little justified that I really thought that it was bad, and it wasn't just
you're
me
a total
being...
kiss.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was exactly. No, but I do feel justified that the time that I really thought it was bad, they had to ban everything, and they admit that it's messed things up. Like it wasn't just.
But they also said going forward, this is the power level we're shooting for. So it's like
not Oko, not Once Upon a Time. To be clear, right? They said that those are the mistakes, but I think the Fires of Invention.
If only they could have predicted that a free spell was a bad idea.
Yeah, that one that's indefensible. Oko is actually more defendable. Oko is more defensible than Once Upon a Time.
Hey guys, what if the best blue planeswalker spell, the best creature, and the best card draw were all green?
Well, yeah, because Oko's a numbers game. Like, if you change that +1 to a -1, then that card is like fine design wise.
Yeah. It's they miss on the power level of the card, not the design of the card. And Once Upon a Time, they miss on the design and the power level. So it is what it is. We'll get more talking about Pioneer and Oko later in the show, but I'll go next for you guys. This is a Return to Ravnica multicolored uncommon that has had 4 reprints, so it's 5 total.
Is it Charm?
It is a charm.
Mhm.
So
You mean the one I picked last week without you
Yeah,
checking the sheet?
he
to
threw
see
it
if
on
I
the
picked it?
he threw it on the list. Because what's going on is
didn't look at
only
the
one
spreadsheet.
version of Visit Charm is very expensive right now.
Yeah. Well, this gets on the this one gets on the cast for everybody. Then this was you. If you check the spreadsheet last week, which I clearly did not, you'd see the DJ picked it. But it's the faithful saluting of Pioneer.
So what he means by the spreadsheet is we record all our picks of the week and Breaking's bulk in a spreadsheet that you can have access to if you're a patron who goes to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery and gives us $10 a month or more. You can have the
I'm holding up a
information
glass.
on a Monday night when we record versus waiting till like Thursday or Friday for the cast. So if you think our picks of the week are worth pouncing on a little bit early, that's just one of the many benefits you get from going to patreon.com/Brainstorm Brewery. And if I might, I would just like to let everybody know that this is the time of year when people start to scale back on that kind of thing. And if you're saving up for Christmas or whatever expenses you got at the end of the year, I get that. People are like exhausting the last of their health insurance and they need to go get stuff done. Money's tight this time of year. But if money's not tight for you because you're so engrossed in a children's card game that you forgot to be appealing to the opposite sex and start a family, something you might want to do is support your favorite content creators. I think a lot of content creators have like a $1 tier of their Patreon. And if you could spread some of that money around and maybe decide which of those ones you want to increase in the year 2020, that would be cool. I'm not saying that our patrons are dropping like flies. They're not, but that we could always use more support from people. This is, and not just us, all content creators are going to be hurting this time of year. So if you do have a little bit of extra money, spread it around. It would go a long way.
Yep.
Or Tiny Tim won't be able to afford his operation.
I'm drinking a beer tonight out of one of those sweet glasses you can get. And this is the big thing. We did have a great drive in October, everyone. Decided that I can't eat B-dubs, so trust me, the last meal video is coming, and then it is next October before I get to eat Buffalo Wild Wings again, because you all made it rain in October, which was very much appreciated. Now it's a year I can't eat it, so you all want me to survive. So I guess thank you.
It's going to go to the Pizza Hut wing zone. It's going to be even worse.
But last year we started this, and now it's tradition because it went well. Everyone seemed to like it. We are going to make it rain rewards on all of the patrons. We have legacy perks.
We ordered a super special playmat, and then I may or may not have ordered
the wrong art.
The wrong playmat.
So maybe everyone gets two. I don't know. I might wild card it.
Yeah, we have a lot of cool stuff. We're going to announce everything next week. So next week's going to be the big reveal. We're going to lead the episode with it. Because last year this was great. We really saw a big drive in December, because we promised people the legacy rewards and we made it worth it. And we're going to do the same thing this year because we really appreciate that, especially like Jason said at this time of the year. And we wanted to make it worth it for everybody. So all of our patrons are awesome. Thank you for listening. Jason, you got a breaking bulk for us?
Yeah, man. I have a artifact pick from Scars of Mirrodin.
What rarity?
It is non-common.
Non-common.
From Scars, is it Throne of Geth?
It is not.
You said it's an artifact?
Yes.
Is it the Wormcoil tokens?
It is not the Wormcoil tokens.
Non-common.
Why would those be uncommon?
You said non-common.
You said not common, which is oddly suspicious.
I said non-common. It's uncommon.
Okay. Is it a creature or not?
No.
Okay.
Contagion Clasp?
No.
Dark.
How are you so bad at this? Contagion Clasp is common.
No, it's not.
Contagion Clasp is uncommon?
Yes.
Plague Mirror.
How am I so bad at this?
Plague Mirror.
You said it's not a creature.
It's not a creature.
Well,
I'm guessing
you
real
Card
cards
Mirror's
here.
an artifact.
You're going to be bad at it. The thing that turns other things into liquid metal coating.
Yeah, liquid metal coating. Yep.
No.
Okay.
Well,
that's a real guess.
You picked
though.
an artifact.
That is a real
set.
guess.
Get out of here.
Grafted exoskeleton.
Okay, yeah, okay. You picked an artifact set. There were 30 different ones we could have named.
Not really.
Yes, really.
Obviously, now we're gonna go look it up.
Grafted exoskeleton
That
is
card's sweet. It gives it's an equipment, right? Gives an infect.
Yep. It makes something go from like, I'm gonna hit you 4 times in EDH2. I'm gonna hit you once. And that's very good. It is like 350 on Card Kingdom.
Yeah.
And I get these in bulk all the time because people pick out all the Contagion quests, which I guess are uncommon. Yes. They pick out all the Plague Mirrors, they pick out all the Thrones of Geth and the liquid metal coatings, and they leave you with grafted exoskeletons.
I checked. There are 8 uncommon artifacts worth 50 cents or more in that set.
Okay.
And we picked like 4 of them before.
Just for the record.
You thoroughly embarrassed yourselves, that's what I heard.
You're right. Anyways, that's
check the tape.
Check the tape, he says.
I don't know what we're checking the tape for, but we're checking the tape.
Wow. All right. So, moving on. We're dealing with some bans in Standard at the time. We talked about the broken cards. So, Standard is wide open and new. And if you are looking to pick up cards for the new Standard we're going to talk about, we want to shout out our sponsor here, Channel Fireball, who generously sponsors our podcast every week and lets us reach more ears with these silly episodes that we do. So everyone, thank you for listening. And if you want to check out the sponsor for any of the cards we talk about, that would be great. Moving on to Standard, we saw all the bans, and now we're starting to see the sort of post Oko metagame emerge. And it seems like, at least in the early going here, the cat food decks, that being Cauldron Familiar and Witch's Oven, are sort of the new baseline of the format. And at least
can we talk about how that deck name is going to live on?
Cat food?
Yes.
It's going to be like the Cheerios.
And we've come full circle from 1993, and where it's like, oh, my deck is called Wingding's Breakfast Hooligans, and you're like, that doesn't seem like a real thing. And now then in like 2014, we're like, we have red, blue, is it deck, beep boop, and now we're like cat food.
Okay,
we got fancy feast.
It's the food deck with the cat. At least it's not like. I mean, it makes. Oh, I was at my favorite sub shop eating a calzone called the Ponza, and
okay, I want.
At least it's not that kind of BS. Like, name a breakfast hero. Have there been a Lucky Charms deck yet? How about Cinnamon Toast Crunch? This is all brand.
Well, there is a Lucky Charms deck. The Lucky Clover deck. No, I want to clarify though. I do have a lot of power over the deck names in the world of Magic because I'm at.
Yeah, that's why they all suck.
I'm at the events where we name them, and we try to go for fun names. Now, I'm just saying that it was not called Cat Food at the Mythic Championship. It was called Sultai Sacrifice, and if you want to blame somebody for that, I'm not saying. I'm just saying you can blame Frank Karsten. That's all. I'm not saying, and not me. But I do think cat food it describes what the deck does, which is the point. I helped decide on the name Blue Steel for a sweet artifact deck in Modern, and it makes sense because it's a blue artifact deck, right? It's not that fun names can't exist, but they can't be your favorite sub shop, you know? Like, I can't name a deck after my favorite sauce at Buffalo Wild Wings, which...
Because you can't go there
because
anymore.
Because you tried and they said you couldn't. I get it.
But, cat food works, right? So, it seems to me...
Also, your favorite sauce is hot. You can't name a deck hot. It's called hot.
All my decks
the red cards in it? Some.
All my decks are hot. What are you talking about? They're all beautiful.
What is the opposite of hot? Underwater? Like the rest of your cards?
Like, just the Ristic Studies. Just about 10.
Only your Canadian Highlander deck is hot, and that's what the police call it because it's been stolen.
That was solid. That's like a 5-year throwback, 4-year throwback.
I was waiting.
That was 2015 or 2016. That deck got stolen from me. It's not like
a very long time ago.
Yeah, whatever. It's not like I'm so salty about my Library of Alexandria, a bunch of expeditions and duels going away. That's all. Not like the whole thing was foil.
It looked because that came right out of a holster, but the trick is I've got lots of holsters.
Anyways, it seems to me that the next evolution of Standard, if everyone is basically brick-walling creatures in combat by putting cats in front of them and sacrificing cats to Witch's Oven, one, no one's playing actual hate cards, at least in major tournaments yet, like, say, Grafdigger's Cage or Sorcerer's Spyglass, or cards that you can play now that they won't just become elks, to shut off. Trail of Crumbs, for instance, is the other big piece of that deck. There are answers to that deck, but one of the more proactive answers is to just play an Embercleave deck. Because Embercleave gives your creature double strike and trample, comes out at instant speed. It's very difficult for those decks to deal with, and that goes right around the entire game plan of a sacrifice deck. So that's kind of where I'd look. I mean, I think, DJ, you had some more information on Embercleave, which, by the way, has ticked up in price over the last week or so. It's I think $7 or $8 right now. I think it's like $8, and it's been kind of slowly creeping. So I don't know what realistically even a mythic from Throne of Eldraine can get to at this point.
I mean, my only thing on Embercleave was just that it was a very popular card this weekend. There were buy lists as high as $7 in the room at Magic Fest Columbus. There were 17 vendors at that event, which is too many vendors.
That's a lot.
Like, you ever seen that Too Many Cooks video where you don't really know what's going on, but you know it's not okay? Like, that's kind of the same vibe you get with Too Many Vendors. There's a song there. I don't know what it is, but
sing for us, DJ.
I don't even know the rest of the song. I just know like the refrain of like too many cooks.
It takes a lot to make a stew.
Yeah.
Channel Fireball and 95.2. There's too many vendors in the room, and everyone's getting blocked by Moose Loot because we got too many vendors.
Well, you started off strong, Jason.
That was pretty impressive.
There you go. But $7 buy list on an $8 retail card tells you one of those is probably wrong, and it means that the card is probably going to be like $10 at a minimum. But we'll see right now, right? Standard is in a sort of a state of flux. Everyone's having to relearn what they can play. Because the thing is, Embercleave fits best into a red-green deck. Red-green decks don't have the best mana fixing. They really leaned on Once Upon a Time for their mana fixing, and now they don't have that. So that's kind of the biggest thing holding back Embercleave. We'll see. We all assume we're going to get Temples and Theros as the next set. And the problem is, a red-green aggro deck doesn't really want to play Temple of Abandon, which is the red-green one, because it comes into play.
They love not having one mana on turn one.
Right. So, we'll see. They probably will have to play some number of them just to have the fixing. But who knows? We may get something else sort of that fits into that slot or whatever, right? So that's where I'd look. But we'll see where Standard goes. Standard's wide open. There's a GP that I'll be playing in a cosplay at Oklahoma City in 3 weeks. So that'll be fun. All right. So moving on, next format up. Guess what? If you got tired of Oko in Standard and we're happy to see it banned, we've got Pioneer for you. So Pioneer, the most recent set of, when we're recording here, the most recent set of 5-0 lists had these as the biggest 3 cards, I think. 94 copies of Once Upon a Time in 25 decks that got posted.
That's a lot of Once Upon a Times.
That's insane. Actually, I take that back. There was 94 across 25 decks. It wasn't only 25 decks, but it is, just for reference, there were 74 copies of Smuggler's Copter in the count, and there were 56 copies of Oko. So if you got tired of those cards in Standard, guess what? They're still broken in Pioneer and also Modern. So
Oko was our other best-selling card that weekend. We were paying $35, and TCG low was 37 to 40 throughout the entire weekend, and we were selling at 42. So, and we were the cheapest price in the room. Nobody else had Okos lower than 42. So we were paying TCG low, getting the card, putting it in the case, writing a 42 on the sleeve, and then it would leave the case in 10 minutes.
Yeah, it's everyone.
Probably 60 or 70 times throughout that weekend. A lot of times.
It's crazy. The card went up after it got banned in Standard, which is just, it's Jace, right? Everyone recognizes how broken it is in every other format. So a lot of people were basically waiting for the price. I think a lot of people who wanted it for other formats were waiting for it to get banned from Standard to pick theirs up. And then it got banned from Standard, and everyone picked theirs up, and the price went up. But I think it's not long for this world in Pioneer either.
If they're doing a ban every Monday.
Well, the last 2 weeks we've gone by with no bans. I mean, the problem is there's not a lot of big data for the format. And nothing.
Well, I mean, they don't have to do a ban, but they have the ability to do a ban every Monday. So,
the other thing that I believe is very strong in Pioneer is Field of the Dead.
Yeah, that was another really, really hot seller this weekend.
Yeah, it's the best in Hour of Promise, which is the 5 mana, any two lands out of your deck. Green card, and Field of the Dead is basically the late game of a bunch of decks in Pioneer. They've realized that you don't have to play Scape Shift. You don't have to play a Field of the Dead deck, quote unquote. You can just play a black-green rock deck, but have Field of the Dead engine in it. and it's just so low cost because there's enough lands that you can get by with a pretty reasonable mana base that has enough different named lands, and then play Hour of Promise in your deck, and you get to free roll Field of the Dead, and it's just the late game of a bunch of decks right now. So, I don't know what that means, right? Pioneers, we need big events. Is the problem right now? We only have MTGO League results, which is not a full picture of the deck and we of the metagame, and we don't have win percentages of stuff. I mean, that's stuff Wizards has access to, but we don't have that data, so it's hard to know. But that's basically sums up that format. You're either playing a Smuggler's Copter deck, an Oko deck, sometimes the same thing. Simic Vehicles is a deck. If you can play Once Upon a Time,
there's a mono black aggro deck too that was super popular.
Yep.
We were selling out of Gutter Bones, Knight of the Ebon Legion, Mutavault.
Yep, that was a Smuggler's Copter deck. That deck is sweet. I think we actually talked about that deck on here like a month ago. I mentioned it. I actually made and Drana's kind of in and out of the deck or whatever, but Drana's gone up in price. That was my pick because I saw that deck kind of break out. It's a cool deck. It's very much a Smuggler's Copter deck, so we'll see. The format with Smuggler's Copter enables a lot of decks like that. The format with Field of the Dead enables a bunch of otherwise generic decks to all use Field of the Dead as sort of their late game. So I think that we're still a long way away from the format settling in terms of bans. I think that Field of the Dead and Smuggler's Copter and Once Upon a Time, and probably Oko too, but especially those three, kind of have the Wild Nacatl Splinter Twin problem, where it's not necessarily a power level concern. It's sort of it crowds out other things.
It just creeps into the decks and then...
Right.
Yeah.
And then, well, it's like, this is why Wild Nacatl, everyone looks at Wild Nacatl and Modern Ban as like, why? This is stupid. But at the time, it made sense in context because if you were playing a green aggro deck, you had to play Wild Nacatl because it was a 3/3 for 1 if you played Naya colors, and that was the best thing you could do. But that meant that every green deck or aggro deck had to start with 3 Wild Nacatls, which means you were automatically playing Naya. And it just sort of restricted deck diversity of choice because one option, even if it wasn't broken in the format at large, sort of forced a bunch of what could be different decks to be the same deck, which just makes everything feel the same. And Once Upon a Time and Smuggler's Copter and Oko kind of do the same thing, where a bunch of decks could exist, but it's better to just play Copter in them, and then you start getting into Copter synergies you put into your deck. And better if we just splash this color and play Oko, so now everything's an Oko deck, right? And it's the same thing it's the same thing with Field of the Dead. Why not just make your deck Field of the Dead?
It's the old meme of like, oh, how can I make this deck better? Well, you cut these and you cut these, then you cut these, then you cut these, then you add 20 mountains and 40 red cards, and then you...
Right. Yeah, so, I mean, like I said, we've got, I believe, some NRG series events coming up. There's probably some SCG events with Pioneer. And then in January come the first Pioneer GPs. So I think we're still a long way away from where the format and the ban list will end up. Because I don't know, personally speaking, Smuggler's Copter was banned for a reason. Oko was banned for a reason. Field of the Dead was banned for a reason. I don't want Pioneer to just become a format where the same things that everyone hated in Standard and they were banned because everyone hated them become the pillars.
Yeah, that was called Extended.
Yeah, I don't want those to become the pillar of the format now. Like, I don't want to have to play against Field of the Dead every other round, even if it's from 3 different decks or whatever. I don't want to play against... Everyone's just tired of playing against Field of the Dead already. And Smuggler's Copter is, I think, actually fine, but it is just in every deck. And Once Upon a Time, obviously, like we said, shouldn't have been printed. That's that. That's your Pioneer Standard update, everybody. So I think that we're going to end up in a good place in Pioneer, and I think the Standard may be heading to a good place right now. We'll see if it's too late for people to care. Wizards burned a lot of equity by having to ban 2 rounds of cards, 4 individual cards, but 2 rounds of bannings to get us to a format that might be fun. But here we are. All right. Speaking of Pioneer, DJ, you wanted to touch on sort of, and we'll approach this kind of with a Finance 101 slant, but different markets for different cards. Do you want to talk about how that applies to Pioneer?
Yeah, sure. So I think a lot of players will contextually look at Magic prices in the bubble of their own region. I mean, that's that's normal. It's not like a stupid thing to do, but players from North America will look at TCG Player or Star City or Card Kingdom or whatever eBay complete listings, whatever you want to use. Players from Spain or Belgium or Germany will look at Card Market for their information and data on card prices. And I think players looking at both of those sites can help you glean a lot of information about trends in the overall market. So it's not a surprise that Modern has been on a huge downswing lately in North America specifically, just because a lot of our listeners are in North America. But like we've seen Liliana the Veil, Light from a Loam, just normal staples like Aether Vial, just hardcore Modern staples where these have been core to the format for almost a decade now, and they're dropping significantly. And if you look at other websites in other regions, those cards haven't dropped as much. And similar to how the United States market will get really, really hyped on certain things, like either new Commander products, like every time a new Commander product gets spoiled in the US, all the Madness cards will go crazy, or all the Enchantment cards will go crazy in the US. And those spikes tend to lag a lot in other regions. And so you can just sort of see if something goes crazy in the US, like, oh, wow, this card is up 500%. Is that it's worth looking into whether or not that's just a regional spike or if that's just real demand all the way around across the world. And if it isn't all the regional demand, or if it is demand that's all around across the world, it's worth looking into how you can take advantage of that and other players in different regions that you might be able to sell to, or just other regions you can buy from. So it's worth looking into, and I would be remiss if I didn't advertise our Discord server, because we have players from all around the world in our Discord server who are looking to trade with you and take advantage of regional discrepancies in prices.
Yeah, and it even goes a little deeper, right? Because there's different markets even within the United States. You know, we were talking a little bit before the cast. Some cards do better on Amazon. Some cards do better on TCG Player. Some cards you should buy list. Some cards you can sell in sort of your local Magic Facebook groups. And it's all it's all contextual, and there's not really any hard or fast rules we can give. But, you know, there's just so much nuance to the market, I think is the right way to put it, that you can't just assume something. You basically always just need to do your homework, depending on what you're looking to do. And we're great resources, like DJ said, to ask about that. We talk about this kind of stuff regularly in our Discord. You can hit us up on social media as well, but Discord's usually where we hash out a lot of discussions with a lot of different perspectives. Okay, guys, on to pick of the week. We've seen a lot of reprints and mystery boosters, which may or may not affect the market. We've seen now you can pay $30 for Bitter Blossom directly from Wizards, and we've seen lots
for
of
one day,
Pioneers.
limited time only.
Yeah, you're right. And we've seen lots of Standard and Pioneer movement. So on to pick of the week. Who wants to start?
Pick of the week, pick of the week, pick of the week. Time for the pick of the week.
Great.
My pick of the week is Panharmonicon, because that card has slowly trickled back down to roughly $4 or $5 you can find copies for. I don't think that's super correct. It is a very reprintable card.
Yes.
It could easily be in the Commander 2020 products coming up.
It could easily have been in the mystery boosters.
Yeah, it definitely could have been in mystery boosters.
That was me checking to see if it was in the mystery boosters, which it is not.
It is not.
So Panharmonicon is not in the mystery boosters. Aetherflux Reservoir, which was a really weird pick. But yeah, Panharmonicon has slowly crept down. I would wait and see if it does go into the mystery booster or into the Commander 2020 product that comes out early next year. And if it's not, it is something that I'd be relatively comfortable buying into. I mean, it's a card that if you need a copy to play with the next 5 months, now's a great time to pick one up. Foils are probably fine too.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, foils seem safer, especially if we're worried about a Commander reprint. I'm going to go with the Pioneer pick this week, and it's one that might just end up getting lost to the sands of time in Pioneer, never go anywhere, but it's got the upside. It's got very high upside. Combat Celebrant for Mom and Cat. It's not at an all-time high, so to speak, but it's at an all-time high since it was a deck in Standard. But that all-time high is about $3.50, almost $4, And it's basically just crept there from $3.20. It's just seen it's been slowly creeping up for a year. And it's just at this point now where it hasn't started to move yet, but when it does, it's really primed to go because it has already slowly been trending up, which is exactly what we look for in spikes. Cards we want to look into that are going to move soon is that you can see sort of the demand that's sort of bubbling underneath the surface. And that's why you see cards go up 1-2% a week for a couple months, and then something breaks the dam, As for Combat Celebrant, for those who don't know, it's a 3-mana 4/1 that you may exert it if it has not attacked this combat. And if you do, you get an extra attack phase. So the idea there is that Combat Celebrant cannot attack and give you infinite attack phases, but it can give you one extra one. But where this really might break out is God Pharaoh's Gift. There was kind of a standard version with this, but it actually was more of a modern version using Gate to the Afterlife, God Pharaoh's Gift, and Combat Celebrant to just provide a bunch of attack steps and win the game. And you can also use, I'm forgetting the name of the card. I think it starts with an M, but it's a card from Theros that if it's like the first time it attacked this turn, when it attacks, you get another combat step. And these are pieces of what could be a very scary refurbished deck in Pioneer, whether it's a Gate to the Afterlife version or sort of the blue-white refurbish version. It could break out. It would only take the right content creator or one tournament result for it to really spike something like Combat Celebrant up to $10. It's also a thing where it may not happen for a year. If things get banned and they decide to bring the power level of the format down, that leads to more people experimenting with stuff and more opportunities for something like this to break out. But if we expect Pioneer to go like we've seen Modern go for a long time, where sort of a new deck can top 8 every week, you see lots of random spikes, and God Pharaoh's Gift is definitely a card to keep an eye on. That card's very cheap. I think it's a bulk rare or very near to it. But Combat Celebrant, I think, has even more upside as being a mythic for Mom and Cat. So that's what I'm looking at. We might get there, we might not in Pioneer, but it's definitely a fun concept to brew around. Maybe they'll eventually ban Oko, and then your God Pharaoh's Gift doesn't become an elk, which would be even better.
Yeah, nobody likes paying 7 mana for a 3/3 elk.
Yeah, well, the thing is, right, hopefully you never pay 7 mana. You either cheat it into play or you refurbish it into play. But with this version, this sort of attack step version, Oko doesn't even necessarily get a chance to turn it into an elk. So that's something that has going for it over sort of the traditional refurbish Angel of Invention version.
Sure, man.
What do you got, Jason?
So I wrote an article last week on MTG Price. I'm going to do the sequel to it this week. By the time you're listening to this, I've already written it, so I don't know why I said that. I basically started using database tools that compare large lists of stuff. And I just take every card from every EDH rec page for different commanders, and then I analyze which cards are in all 4 decks. And on the basis of these not mystery boosters, what is it called? They're all got
Secret Lair?
Secret Lair. Jesus, they all got just such dumb names. It's a mystery. It's a secret. Is it going to be sold at your LGS? Ooh, we'll never tell. No. On the basis of these, there's a bunch of new art for old commanders. There's Erebos, which is the kitty cat commander. There's Sliver Overlord, and there is Reaper King, and there is Dragon. So those are 4 commanders, and I think it's possible that people who have those decks built will want to buy that stuff. But also, I think it's possible that we could see a little bit of an uptick in those decks getting built, especially for older stuff like Reaper King and Sliver Overlord and stuff like that. I looked, and besides like mana-based staples, the only card that is really in all of those decks is Door of Destinies and my pick of the week, Helm of the Host. I think that's a little bit too cheap. It's around $5. I don't know how reprintable it is, but it's also just degenerate. There's so many situations where, you slam Helm of the Host on a Pramicon and no one can attack. Stuff like that, It's just a dumb card. I really liked it when it first got printed, and I like it, even more now. I feel like the supply is starting to trickle down a little bit. I feel like as much as it's like a non-mythic in the post-mythic era, I know there's a lot of copies, but it's also, a very popular card on EDH Rec, and it's in all 4 of those decks if they all get built. So
I think that's a card. I think that's a card where its graph will follow Panharmonicon very similarly, just because those two are just such iconic staples of that format and what you do in that format.
Yeah.
That assuming both of them go without reprints, they're both just like, regardless of what you're doing in that format, there are a lot of players who will gravitate towards putting both of those cards in their deck or either of them in their deck, even if the number of synergies is minimal. So, like, it's just like double the things. Oh, this is an artifact that doubles things. Copying things. This is an artifact that copies things. Like, they're just very, very intuitive cards to put in your deck.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
All right. So before we get out of here this week, I think we have one last thing to plug, and you'll like it. It's a giveaway. DJ, do you want to give some details?
No, I want you to do the details.
Well, we're doing a giveaway for Christmas as part of a thing.
Okay, so for those of you who were aware of it last year, Exotic MTG, the content creator, started a giveaway called 31 Days of Christmas, where they signed up a lot of different content creators over the course of December, and almost every day there's a different content creator who pops up with a video, and they do a special giveaway, either some of their own branded products or something they've received from Wizards or Channel Fireball. There's a lot of sponsors to this giveaway. We are very happy to be a part of it. Our video comes out later in December, and we will be coming out with more information on that in a separate video. You're going to want to keep an eye out for it because free stuff is great EV.
That's the truest statement that we've ever made on this podcast. It's harder to get better EV than free.
That's a very good finance tip. If you get something for free,
very deep.
It's good.
Yeah, we've got the best advice here. Only the best advice. Well, everybody, if you're in the United States, I hope you enjoy your Thanksgiving. If you're elsewhere in the world, I hope you enjoy.
If you're in
Thursday.
Canada, your Thanksgiving already happened.
Yeah, and if you're anywhere else, enjoy your Thursday before this podcast comes out, I guess, or on Thursday if you're a patron and you get it early. So we'll be back next week when we will be announcing the legacy giveaways, legacy perks for the 2019 Patreon. So everybody, I'm Corbin Hostler. We want to shout out our sponsor, Channel Fireball. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
All right. You guys want
You
to
gotta tell JJ explicitly to cut that, or he won't.
JJ, cut that.
And you have to tell him that when you're telling him explicitly to cut that, right?
JJ, when we say explicitly cut that, we actually mean explicitly cut that this time.
Don't cut it.
This time.
Don't cut it.
This time, cut it.